Welcome back to the Cheapo Spotlight, everybody. Good to have you guys back on the show. In the show, well, you know what I mean. It's a show. We're having fun. It's multimeters. It's all good, especially in these trying times. It's nice to have a bit of a diversion. Today, we're looking at the all-new, and this is all-new direct from Ali. It's the MINHAO DM9205A. For your cheapo pleasure. Let's take a look. The MINHAO was shipped directly from AliExpress, and I gotta say, all things considered, this thing came really quickly. Probably about 2.5 weeks, all the way from China. Wow, that was fast. This $13 non-auto-ranging multimeter, it looks a little bit different than your standard multimeter. We'll look at that quickly in a minute. That being said, it is part of that 9205A series. So it's been around for a while, tried and true, proven. You either love or hate these type of multimeters. I happen to love them. I think it's usually good bang for the buck. The MINHAO shipped in this colorful little box, a little tattered, but none the worse for wear. And in the box, we've got a instruction manual. Unfortunately, it is all in Chinese. So, oh, wow. Okay. And yeah, really cheap paper type, but unless you can read Chinese, not too useful. As well, we got the standard cheapo leads. Now these are definitely a step down. I mean, yeah, these are cheap. Let's do that pull test. Oh yeah, there we go. So it is coming out. Oh man. Now, yeah, it failed the pull test, but at least if we take a look, that end of the wire is on there fairly decent. It's a pretty thick gauge wire, so at least it's not exposed. God, just too bad it has to come out so darn easy. Anyway, no cat rating on these per se. Just say 1000 volts max. That would probably be not such a good idea. Now the meter itself has an unusual boot. And when I say unusual, I mean it just comes off in a couple of pieces. Yeah, that's it, that's all. So not a whole lot in the protection department per se. Yeah. So even though you have that boot on, at the end of the day, you drop this, chances are it's gonna go into a couple of different pieces, because it just does not have that protection. If anything, this is probably good for giving it a little bit more of a tactile feel, a little easier to hold, because as it stands without that plastic rubber boot, yeah, it's pretty slippy, loosey-goosey in the hand. Tilt stand, standing bail on the back, nothing new to report here. At least it does come out fairly easily, but it doesn't have a great feeling. And I don't know, I've seen better. One thing I did notice with this particular meter, which not too happy with, if you look at that display, yeah, you can see that liquid crystal is actually, yeah, you see that, how it's kind of bubbling up there, just a little bit of pressure. I'm just hardly putting any pressure on it. So that's not looking good for the long run. Starting off in the 12 o'clock position or off, followed by volts DC up to 1000 volts, volts AC 750, current from 2 milliamps up to 20 amps, current DC from 20 amps to 2 milliamps, a paltry capacitance from 20 nanofarad up to 200 microfarad, HFE or transistor mode, diode and continuity. Finally, resistance from 200 ohms up to 200 mega ohm. At the bottom, we have separate inputs for the high current at 20 amps max. And by the way, that is unfused, followed by the milliamp, 200 milliamps. And we have our common or neutral. And on the far right, we have our volts and resistance input. Now, once again, these are not color coded, not a fan of that. All the inputs are black. Don't like it. Finally, at the top, we have our standard one-touch hold. Nothing fancy schmancy. No, you touch it, you hold it, it holds. That's it, that's all. Boring. We have some interesting Chinese characters here. I have no idea what that means. And over here we have our HFE, PNP, NPN transistor testing. And finally, on the left, we do have a tiny little LED because, yes, we do have a visual as well as audible in the continuity mode. So that is a bonus, and we'll take a look at that shortly. Does that say, I love my cheapo multimeters? I don't think so. Okay, let's turn it on. And we have our, well, I'm not going to say big LCD display, but it's big enough. And bold font, looks okay. What can I say? It's nothing to get too excited about. It's LCD after all. But yeah, it works. One thing I do like is on this manual display, you do have that visual indicator. So here we are in 1000 volts DC, and it's also giving us that high voltage indicator. If we bring that down, we do have the numerics coming up on the display as well, 220 to what have you. So a little more heads up for the display. Not all the cheapies incorporate that, but yeah, I think it's a good idea. Starting things off in DC precision mode, we're going to look at 250 millivolts. And, well, thank goodness we do have some accuracy on this cheapo, showing us 250, not to worry. I'm going to bring it over to the 2.5 volt setting now, and we're over limit. So let's put it into range. 2.50 is what we want to see, and booyah, 2.50 it is. Next up is diode mode. We're going to have a standard Schottky diode here. Now, I did hear initially that this meter gave one of those incredible audible beeps when you were in diode mode. And it's such a handy feature. A lot of the flukes have that, and some Hyokis, what have you. And actually, in the cheapo round, the Habotest HT118A, the Kaiwits, they also incorporate that audible beep on a good diode. Very, very handy. Especially if you're troubleshooting, prevents whiplash. I love it. Now, I did hear, as I said, that this had that audible beep, and it's not true. Not true at all. We are getting that forward voltage drop, but there is no audible indicator telling us that it's a good diode. That would have been just really, really nice. Just to give you an idea what I was talking about, here's that Rich Meters 114A. It does have that nice audible beep in diode mode. Just give you an example here. So that beep is telling us that that diode is in fact good. Very handy dandy, and yeah, something I would love to see on more cheapos. Moving over to LEDs now, and I'm going to utilize these little Unity extenders. These are great little things, and they even attach on cheap little leads such as these. Just goes in, comes and actually definitely brings things up a notch. Okay, diode mode. Let's see how well or not so well we're going to do. Starting off with the green diode. And wow, is that lit? Doesn't look like it. Over to the yellow. Jeez. Oh yeah, there we go. It's lit. Barely, but it's lit. Over to the red LED. Should hopefully be okay. Let's see. Yeah, we're good. Blue. And it's lit. Finally, the white LED. Wow. So 4 out of 5 LEDs. Just double check that green. No, it's just not lighting up. Not at all. But yeah, nothing in terms of a forward voltage drop on any of them. So, yeah. 2.95 volts, just shy of 3 volts. The output voltage in diode mode for the MINHAO. Hey, 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 it's continuity time, my favorite time. And we've got the stock probes. Yeah, just point that out again. That is just hilarious. But anyway, we have the stock probes. Let's see how well or not so well they can do in continuity mode. continuity on the dial. Now it does share continuity and diode on the same range. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Wow. It is latched, but oh so slow. Now we do have that visual indicator coming up, which is nice. But Granny was slow. But she was 99. This is terrible. All right, MINHAO, this is your time to shine. We got the Probe Masters. Probes, yeah. These probes cost, what, 3-4 times as much as the meter. It's got to make a difference. Gotta. 3, 2, 1. No! Ah, slow. Oh, my goodness, so slow. Latched. Perhaps a touch louder, but at the end of the day, completely useless. Eh. .71.3 dBA, the maximum output in diode mode. Meter is so light that even these pathetic nothing probes can move the meter without any problem. Come on, boy. Here we go. Hoorah! So resistance is a bit of a faux pas. We're sitting now at 9 mega ohm on the decade box, and yeah, look what's going on with this 9205. It just cannot settle on a reading. I've tried everything and it just goes bonkers. So yeah, here we are at 9 and we're there, and then now, okay, well now, wow. So that took a while, but now we are settled. Okay, let's see what happens. Bring it down to 8 mega ohm. Incredibly slow. Go down to 6 mega ohm. Wow. It's painful. 3 mega ohm. Let's try 1 mega ohm exactly. Yeah, well, you be the judge. Personally, I think it sucks. Take a quick look at current, sitting right now at 450 milliamps. I'm going to bring it up. This does boast a 20 amp high current input, but wow, I would be very weary of that claim. Sitting now at 8.14 amps according to the MinLeaf power supply, showing up as 8.25 on the MINHAO. And let's max it out now. 9.45 amps according to the MinLeaf, 9.66 for the MINHAO. And let's see here, bring it up a little bit. So 10.1 amps right now, 10.4 showing up on the MINHAO. Nothing has exploded, nothing has imploded. A lot of current going through this cheapo. Wow, those leads are getting warm. In fact, they are starting to wither. As you can see, they're starting to I'm not going to say meltdown, but it's getting pretty close. Yeah, alrighty. Well, it seems to have stood the test. I'm going to lower this voltage now, turn it right down, bring it back down. Alrighty. So, well, surprisingly, it seemed to have passed that high current test. Wow, those leads are hot. Woo, I am telling you. So, honestly, I wouldn't really want to be utilizing this as my high current meter of choice, that's for sure. But, and I do say this with a but, it did seem to pass the basic test. Alrighty, high voltage mode is next. Can this little DM9205A handle 1,000 volts? Well, we're soon going to find out. Here we go, 3, 2, 1, put the safety goggles on. Here we go. And up and away. We have that high voltage indicator, and we're almost there. 1,000 volts. No smoke, no snap, crackle, pop. Looking good. Bring it back down. Let's try that one more time, shall we? Yeah, all around looks good. Got up to 1,000 volts, and it stood the test. So, surprisingly, this little diminutive 9205 hasn't broke down yet. Stuck into the AC mains, 120 volts, 122.5-ish. Looking good. Alright, we have 4 Phillips screws, which we have since gotten rid of. Let's take off the top, see what is on the inside. Here we go. We're going to just lose this battery connection here. Probably should have taken that off first. Might have been a good idea. Okay, let's just do that now. There we go. Wow. Get rid of this 9 volt. By the way, this did not ship with a battery coming from China. And all right, in finally. Starting off with the other side, yeah, we know the story. We've seen it 1,000 times before. Well, actually 153 to be exact. No shielding. Well, no surprise. Let's take a closer look. Starting off with the input jacks at the bottom, they are of the split variety, and I gotta say that soldering job is kind of I don't have a problem with split, but I do have a problem with crappy soldering, and yeah, I'm just not liking it. Oh gosh. In fact, yeah, the blobs look okay, but you know, let's flip it over here, and oh my God, look at that! Yeah, that's just big nasty blob of solder went right through. Goodness gracious. So you can see in terms of overall quality control, you are the quality control. In terms of input protection, we've got 1 PTC on the voltage side. On the milliamp side, we have one of these current sensing resistors here, and that is it. That is all. There's not even a current shunt on this device. Really, really scary. Moving up the line over here, we have our LM358 op amp, and this little guy over here is a Schmidt trigger. But yeah, pretty well sparse. That's it. That's all. The main IC is cobbed. Nothing much to say here. We do have a couple of testing points over at the top of the meter. Now this is sparse. There is no NCV flashlight, none of that funky stuff. Really bare bones. Now once again, if I flip it over to the other side, there is our rotary selector tracks, and yeah, that looks okay, I guess. Hasn't been greased or anything, and what can I say? Here at the top we have our LCD zebra strip connectors here, and once again, this is a really cheap kind of feeling PCB, very, very thin, and what can I say? I don't think it's really very great. Finally, take a look at the rotary selector pads. There they are. Count them all. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And it's in there with your standard little balls, I believe. Do we have balls on here? Actually, we don't have any balls. So this is not a ball bearing type. Oh, look at that. It is strictly a spring type mechanism. So once again, they've really gone cheap. They've replaced that standard ball bearing, which at the very least was, you know, pretty good for you long term, but they've done away with it in favor of a plastic rocker mechanism. So, wow, they are really going bottom barrel. There's the main display and the zebra strip, but yeah, that is it. That is also, not a lot going on in this cheapie. I'm gonna put it all back together and come back with my closing thoughts. Closing thoughts on the MINHAO DM9205A. Pass this one by. Hey, you know I love my cheapos, but in this case, you're really getting absolute garbage. No, everything about it was pretty mediocre at best. I didn't even touch the capacitance mode. Hey, why bother? It only does 200 microfarad. Oh, I don't know where to start. This thing really was shoddy. continuity was terribly slow, and that resistance was flaky at best, and once again, slow. Anything good to say about it? Well, accuracy-wise, yeah, it wasn't bad, and it did withstand that 10 amps of high current for about 30 seconds without completely dissolving. But hey, that is not saying too much. We saw the input protection. Really, there wasn't any. No, this is kind of a scary meter when it comes to anything over 30 volts. Stay clear. Now, at the end of the day, if you have somebody in mind that you really don't like, this might be a great gift for them. But other than that, do not buy it. Now, the MINHAO 9205A gets a very sad 1 out of 5 stars. Yeah, that's too bad. I was really hoping for a little bit better in the cheapo realm, especially with the 90205 series, because usually they are cheap but rather decent. In this case, it is definitely one to walk on by. Hey, everybody, these are some trying times. Stay safe and wash those hands as many times as you can. Till the next one, keep on testing.